Tampa Bay Buccaneers 0-0 at Miami Dolphins 0-0. Neither one of these teams seem to be really settled after an up-and-down preseason, but both have the potential to be much better and contend for the playoffs. The outlook for the Bucs offense is terrific, even if it doesn't have a dependable run game. The key is for Jameis Winston to take care of the football and not put his offense in bad situations. The Dolphins have a solid defense, but the Bucs have too many matchup advantages in this game. Miami has good passing game weapons, spread production, and a solid J.A.J. run game, but its success will come down to Jay Cutler and how he runs this offense. He knows this Adam Gase scheme, and now he must execute it. Keys to game: Winston must play a clean game. You love that he is aggressive and really works to make big plays, but he must learn to dial it back at times and realize that a check down, a short pass is not a bad thing. He now has excellent vertical weapons, but he must avoid the temptation of taking too many chances without a run game. Against Miami, he will need to move the chains with his passes. He cannot turn the ball over and give a work and progress Cutler passing game a short field to work with. The Bucs have a superior offense if they play smart. Can Cutler actually carry the Dolphins? When he was with Gase in 2015, he had his best NFL season. He knows this offense well, and he has a better supporting cast than he saw in his Chicago days. Gase will call a lot of quick routes, he will flood the defensive zones with multiple receivers, and he will call bubble screens, all designed to give Cutler easier reads. Gase prefers to put a lot of his quarterback's plate, but he will dial the offense back for Cutler. He faces a fairly simple rush 4, drop 7 Tampa Bay defensive scheme that will play smart and fast but will also give him easy reads. Which team can establish the runs? This area strongly favors the Dolphins. J.A.J. has emerged as a solid Onakutongo back behind a solid zone blocking offensive line. They would love to dominate time of possession with a run and not ask Cutler to make a lot of passing plays, but this is a Bucs front seven that can challenge A.J. and those cutback runs. The Bucs are without the lead back, Doug Martin, and even though Dirk Koetter is committed to establishing the run game early, he may not have the personnel to get it done, which is a shame considering how purely the Dolphins defend the run. Key individual matchup: J.R. Sweezy vs. Ndamukong Suh. Sweezy sat out 2016 with a back injury, but he now steps in with a huge opening game challenge of blocking a Pro Bowl defensive lineman. With a marginal Bucs run game, Sweezy's biggest task may be to give Winston a clean inside pocket for his slow developing deep routes, and that won't be easy against Suh, who is an excellent inside penetrator. Unless Sweezy gets double team help, Suh will collapse the pocket and could really disrupt Winston. X Factor: Miami tight end Julius Thomas. This well-traveled guy is on a short leash, but this coaching staff seems to believe in him. They want more tight end production in the passing game, and this may be his last chance. He must avoid injuries. He faces a Tampa Bay defense that will play a lot of cover 2 zones, and he will have room to work on seam routes. If the Dolphins get the run game going, he could have some play-action opportunities. With a new quarterback, Thomas becomes a safety net in this offense, and he matches up well versus the Bucs, especially near the goal line. Winslow Townsend app images for Panini. Jacksonville Jaguars 0-0 at Houston Texans 0-0. This is obviously a game full of raw emotions because of the disastrous Hurricane Harvey impact, and it is tough to predict how these teams will play, especially Houston. On the football field, Tom Savage doesn't look like a big numbers guy for Houston versus a sneaky good Jags defense. That can trickle down to the perimeter passing game, although tight end CJ Fiedorowicz could be an interesting short intermediate target. The only real dependable Texans production should come from a run-heavy Lamar Miller run game, although their elite defense is always a strong play. Jacksonville will go to a run-heavy Leonard Fournette attack in an effort to take quarterback Blake Bortles and his mistakes out of the equation. That has a negative effect for the entire Jaguars passing game. There is not much to like after the run. Keys to game: who imposes their run first will. Both of these offenses are determined to control the clock with their runs, take pressure off the quarterback and win with defense and physicality. Both offenses face good defensive fronts, so establishing the run won't be easy. We will see a heavy Fournette Miller workload, and both of these offenses will stay with the run and depend on their defense to help them win a low-scoring game. Play action should also be a factor if they can establish the runs, but neither one of these offenses have a lot of faith in their quarterbacks. Can either defense force the quarterback to make plays? The coach's worst nightmare in this game is to get behind and abandon the run game and ask mediocre quarterbacks to get them back into the game with their passing. Both defenses have a solid pass rush, which forces the quarterback to make hurried decisions, but the biggest problem for these offenses is the tight man press coverage that they will see from both sets of corners. Neither one of these receiving corps separate well from tight coverage, and that will lead to the quarterback holding onto the ball and taking coverage sacks. Both must win with the run. Pass coverage could be the key to this game. Both teams are capable of playing good coverages, but neither is without flaws. The Jags want to look like Seattle with a lot of cover 3 looks, and their outstanding corner duo of Jalen Ramsey and AJ Bouye also allow them to play tight man press coverage outside and take away the boundary passing game. Houston can also play solid man coverages outside or change it up with some zone looks, but both defenses have some vulnerability inside with their safeties and linebackers, and that is likely where these offenses will attack in the passing game. Key individual matchup: Chris Clark vs. Jacksonville. Calais Campbell. Campbell may be the best 5-technique defensive lineman in the NFL. He is big and with a huge wingspan, and it is really tough to get a body on him. He is a tough guy to tie up. Clark struggled at right tackle a year ago, and now he is forced to play left tackle because of the Dwayne Brown injury. There is no way that he can handle Campbell without help. This is not good for Savage. X Factor: Houston. TCJ Fiedorowicz. The Texans seem committed to using the team more in the passing game, and with a shaky quarterback they need a safe short to intermediate option. Fiedorowicz gives them no deep threat, but he can be effective on third down and as a safety net for Savage. He will see some cover 2, man under looks from Jacksonville, and also cover 3 with a center field safety. They may play man outside, but more zone inside, and that means that there will be windows for Savage and Fiedorowicz to exploit between the hashes. Arizona Cardinals 0-0 at Detroit Lions 0-0. These are teams with optimistic expectations in 2017, but both have areas of concern. David Johnson is the focal point of the Cardinals' offense, but how they protect Carson Palmer is critical. He has great quarterback numbers when he is not pressured, and he faces a Detroit pass rush that has not been very good. So pass protection is a real factor. Detroit will try to control the clock with their short Matthew Stafford passing game and keep the more explosive Arizona offense on the sidelines. The biggest key to this game could come down to pass defense. Both teams use a lot of sub-packages, which gives them blitz flexibility, and that could make it tough for either offense to generate a lot of yards through the air. Quiz to game: get David Johnson a lot of touches. He is a threat every time he touches the ball, as a back or as a receiver. He can run inside or outside, and he is an excellent jump cutback where he lures defenders into the box before he bounces it outside LaDainian Tomlinson. His open field speed is elite. As an outlet receiver, he will often motion outside in their 4-1 backed scheme to give them an empty look. If he gets a matchup versus a linebacker or a safety, it is over. He will see a lot of cover 2 zone coverages by the Lions, and he may have a lot of room to work over the middle on wheel routes. Can Arizona stop the short Detroit passing game? This is not a very complicated Lions offense, and they don't do a lot of freelancing. But their routes are well defined, and Stafford is at his best when he is attacking tight zone windows. These Detroit receivers do not separate from tight man coverage very well, and that is exactly what they will see from Arizona. That takes away most vertical routes, especially when they blitz and force Stafford to get the ball out early. Detroit's best chance for passing success is pre-snap, as Stafford is excellent at recognizing coverages. Arizona must disguise its looks before the snap and close and tackle fast versus all the outlet routes they will see by the Detroit backs. Can Detroit handle the versatile Arizona pass rush? Not only do the Cardinals have an excellent edge rush, but their inside pressure is getting much better. They will also blitz from anywhere, and they are not afraid to play zero coverage behind the blitz. They led the NFL with 48 sacks in 2016, and that is a real problem for Detroit in pass protection. The Lions will counter the Arizona pressure with short passes that negate the rush. The Cardinals may be forced to come back with their bend, but don't break scheme, not their style to force a lot of multiplay drives. Key individual matchup: Greg Robinson, Ricky Wagner vs. Chandler Jones, Marcus Golden. This Cardinal duo combined for 23.5 sacks a year ago, and they give this already good defense real big play capabilities, and their improving interior pressure help makes it difficult to double team these guys on the edge. Wagner is solid at right tackle, but Robinson is a real problem filling in for injured Tail Ledecker at left tackle. Don't expect any tight end or running back help in pass pro, so these tackles are likely on their own, and that is a huge advantage for Arizona. X-Factor Arizona safety Tyrann Mathieu. He is the ultimate game-changer on this defense because of his versatility. He can play over the slot close to the line of scrimmage, he can play a single high center field safety, and he can even play a man corner. He is an elite blitzer from anywhere on the defense. Because he can be so effective close to the line, he could dominate versus the Lions' short passing game. His ability to recognize, close and tackle are a perfect counter to what he will see from this Detroit offense. Photo by Kevin Frenchuk on SportsWire. Carolina Panthers 0-0 at San Francisco 49ers 0-0. The 49ers know that they have a long uphill climb to get back to respectability. They just want to show their fans in Week 1 that they are on the right track and that they have hope. Carolina is a talented team that fell apart in 2016. The Panthers are out to prove that last season was a one-year blip on the radar. Niners coach Kyle Shanahan does not have close to the talent that we see on Carolina, so he will try to win with schemes rather than personnel. The Panthers have too many weapons for San Francisco to deal with. This is a bad matchup for them. Carolina needs an efficient and workmanlike early game and not let the 49ers stay in it and build confidence. Quiz to game: get the ball in Christian McCaffrey's hands. Carolina, he is instant offense, and we saw his versatility in the preseason. He can be an I-back, he can work out of the slot or wide, he can line up next to the quarterback, he can run some wildcat and zone read, and he could likely be the most productive screen receiver in the NFL. McCaffrey's success is predicated on his ability to destroy one-on-one matchups, and the 49ers have nobody who can handle him in coverage. However, their cover 3 defense could keep most of his plays in front of them if they can close and tackle well. Kyle Shanahan must call a perfect game for the 49ers. Their void of offensive playmakers is alarming, and they simply don't look capable of winning one-on-one battles and having success because of their talent level. However, he faces a Carolina pass defense that is young and improving, but they also give up their share of plays. Shanahan is a master at moving his guys around to find the right matchup. The 49ers will not have success versus the tough Carolina front seven, so they will have to concentrate on attacking the back end and coverage. How will Cam Newton attack the 49ers pass defense? The Carolina coaches say that they want to go to a safer and shorter passing game a la New England with the arrivals McCaffrey and Curtis Samuel. However, that could be a tough transition, because Newton is a vertical passer who loves big shots. He has a group of big pass catchers who are faster than quick, but the Panthers have a chance to attack short and deep. The good news is that San Francisco lacks great individual personnel and will play a lot of cover 3 schemes. Seattle without a lot of blitzers. Newton should have time to throw, and he will have well-defined windows to exploit if he improves his accuracy. Key individual matchup: Greg Olsen vs. Jimmy Ward. We know that San Francisco will pattern its secondary after what we see in Seattle, and that puts Ward into the Earl Thomas centerfield role, while Eric Reed will play closer to the line of scrimmage in the Cam Chancellor position. Olsen is the best seam route tight end in the NFL, and he will attack Ward, who is a former good cover corner, between the hashes. He must prevent those big Olsen plays. Will Reed jam Olsen at the line of scrimmage to slow him down? X-Factor, Carolina free safety Kurt Coleman. He has become an important cog in this defense, and with the acquisition of veteran strong safety Mike Adams, he can move from strong safety back to his more natural free safety position, where he can use his excellent ball hawk skills. The 49ers do not threaten this defense with the deep pass, and Adams will play close the box in run support. That leaves Coleman in center field to patrol the middle and keep everything in front of him. New York Jets 0-0 at Buffalo Bills 0-0. Both of these teams are in a rebuilding mode, and even before they even hit the field in Week 1. Several high-priced veterans have been cut. There is an alarming lack of playmakers on both sides of the ball. Both quarterback situations appear to be a mess. These are all tough things for two loyal fan bases to deal with and feel any optimism. The Bills to have a new staff, and they appear to have a blueprint for their rebuild, but the Jets have a perceived lame duck coaching staff that is just trying to survive a purge. Wins may be hard to come by for these teams, and this is a winnable game for both, so you can count on them playing hard. Keys to game: can Tyrod Taylor attack the Jets' defense inside? If he is cleared from concussion protocol, his backup, Nathan Peterman, has a chance to attack this Jets defense between the hashes. Buffalo will face two rookie safeties who obviously do not have NFL experience in coverage, and the linebackers are not elite cover guys, either. The strength of the Bills' receivers are a surplus of slot guys who can work between the hashes, but Taylor has not been a guy who seems comfortable throwing over the middle. He may decide to roll out and attack the edges and bypass a good opportunity to exploit the Jets' interior in pass coverage. Note: we probably will not know the status of Taylor concussion until close to game time, but the coaches like what they see in Peterman. Can the Jets' defensive front seven control LeSean McCoy? We know the strength of this Jets defense is up front and it is capable of dominating when focused. It faces an underrated Buffalo offensive line, and this battle in the trenches could be the most interesting part of this game. The Jets like to cause disruption with own gap penetrating schemes, but the Bills' zone blocking front and heavy personnel packages will be a challenge. If McCoy can keep the chains moving and convert on third down, the Jets have no chance to stay with them. A good Buffalo run game sets up play action. We know that the Bills will be committed to controlling the tempo of the game, and the Jets' worst nightmare is to be forced to load up the defensive box to stop McCoy and the run game. That would put their defensive backs and linebackers on an island in man coverage. The Jets might prefer to play more cover 2 and not their usual man-press schemes and look for a bend-but-don't-break defensive approach. This Buffalo offense wants more pass production from the backs and tight ends, and the Bills could really exploit the Jets' linebackers and safeties in play-action situations. Key individual matchup: Buffalo LeSean McCoy vs. Jets defensive front seven. This new outside zone run game no longer uses a lot of pull techniques by the guards, but instead the guys up front come off the ball together. McCoy is a little bit of a dancer, but this run game requires him to be patient and let the blocks form in a on-a-cute-on-go philosophy. He faces a very good Jets defensive line, but McCoy can run wide and use his cutback ability to force them to overrun the whole. X-Factor, NY Jets wide receiver Robbie Anderson. He is a tall, but thin, receiver with good deep speed, and he flashed enough late in the 2016 season to catch the NFL's interest. However, he has no Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker around him to gobble up coverage. And now, the Jets' best remaining receiver, Quincy Enunwa, is gone for the season with an injury. With the exception of dump-offs to backs, he is their only real outside option, although they have added Jermaine Kearse from Seattle. Photo by Rich Grayus, like on SportsWire. Baltimore Ravens 0-0 at Cincinnati Bengals 0-0. The Ravens finished the preseason with a perfect 40 record, but this is a team with multiple flaws. They want to run the ball, but they have running back and offensive line issues. Also, they have a quarterback who has not taken a snap the entire preseason, and they have limited passing weapons. However, they can stay in a lot of games, including this one, by playing great defense. The Bengals have more explosive players, but they are still a little bit of a work in progress. This will be a physical division game, and the outcome could likely come down to the ability of the Ravens defense to shut down Andy Dalton and company. It looks like it will be a low-scoring game. Keys to game: will the Bengals open up the offense? Recently they seem to have become a fairly predictable short-passing offense, partially because of injuries, but with healthy weapons we could see them test a good Baltimore defense. Andy Dalton is targeting A.J. Green a lot, which could open up the middle of the field for tight end Tyler Eifert, especially in the red zone. The wild card is rookie back Joe Mixon, who is a nightmare matchup in the passing game for Baltimore when the Bengals motion him and flex him outside. Will Dalton take some chances with these new weapons? Look for Baltimore to play a lot of big nickel defensive looks. The Ravens love three safeties, and they really have confidence in Eric Weddle, Tony Jefferson and Ladarius Webb. They will all play in their base package, can cover and match up well versus the Bengals pass catchers. Jefferson will likely cover Tyler Eifert man-to-man, with Weddle sitting in center field. Without a lot of ILB depth, the big nickel puts their best players on the field. Don't get chippy, this is a bitter division rivalry between two teams who don't like each other. We usually see the undisciplined play from the Bengals, but both teams are capable of making some bonehead mistakes. Neither offense looks dynamic right now, and this does not have the look of a wide-open scoring fest. Key individual matchups: Cincinnati tight end Tyler Eifert versus Baltimore safety Eric Weddle. The Ravens have some coverage flexibility here because they will play their three-safety package a lot of the time. You would expect Tony Jefferson to cover Eifert if they are in man. If they are in zone, Weddle will man the deep middle of the field. Baltimore likes to change up their coverages, and they could show man early and then drop off to zone later. Jefferson is always a threat to leave his coverage and blitz. The Bengals would like to catch Weddle in man coverage. He is much better in zone. X Factor, Baltimore running back Danny Woodhead. He may not add a lot to the Ravens' run game, but he is a consistent weapon on third down in the passing game. With a run game that is a mess, it is hard to imagine where the production will come from. Woodhead could get a lot of work on checkdowns and short passes as an extension of the run game. The Bengals like to bring a gap blitzes, and if the Ravens can catch them in that inside pressure, there are plays to be made over the middle for Woodhead. More NFL coverage.